Hey guys, this is Gamer Cow. Welcome to another Pokemon TCG. This one's not a battle video as much as it is an update on rule stuff, like I should have done much earlier this week. I will apologize, this format's not been super interesting to go through because turns out we have had a lot of tools missing, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get a video on all of them done. To be honest, it's been a lot. Also, not that it came out this week, but it's been sort of a big hit this week among my friends as well. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel has kind of taken up a lot of this week. I found it to be more interesting to build my deck on there than in here. So yeah, we've actually had some games going on there too, so it's fine. But we are one day away from actually having the battle stuff for this go on. Twitch.tv/GamerCow for that, by the way. It's in the description, but you know. 2 PM Eastern for 7 PM UK time is when I always do the stuff with that. So, yeah, that's going to be cool. But we kind of have a few rule changes to go over. There's a lot that's happened within the game here. This is that transition period where Nintendo was taken over instead of Wizards, and usually at the start of a generation like this is, there will be tweaks to the rules to, I guess, smooth things out. Sometimes there's radical changes like this, sometimes it's a minor thing like, oh, you cannot attack going first now, or, you know, a change to the burn rules or something like it was in Gen 7. This is a significant step for modernizing the game compared to what we had in the Wizards era. So there's a lot of the, to put it politely, bullcrap that we have had in the game is no longer here. Strictly speaking, the baby rule is still here, but all the good baby Pokemon have rotated, so we are not going to see that. There's going to be baby Pokemon in the very next set, but they have separate rules now. They do not have the baby rule on them. They have this like baby evolution thing instead. But that is kind of not the point. What do we actually have here? Well, there are 6 major rule changes right now, and then there are going to be some additional rule changes that come in at the Hidden Legends format, I believe it is, the 2004 Worlds format. So there's a fair bit to go over, but most of them are pretty straightforward, and again, a lot of them will be modernizations compared to what we had before. So first off, mulligans. You can see here the second player has not drawn a Pokemon in their starting hand here. First player has. So if we set this game up as usual, we have our set prizes. This will be in. You get the shuffle draw here. Mulligans are only 1 card now. We used to be able to draw 2 cards for every single mulligan. 0, 1, or 2, basically. Now it is 0 or 1. You still need to draw them as they happen, but you do not actually get to mulligan like, you know, 8 cards for mulliganing 4 times, for example. The next one, hopefully we actually do get this relatively quickly, because we do need to actually have a setup game here. Probably should have set one of the other ones up, but that is fine. I mean, I guess we can show, yeah, there's a mulligan in this hand as well, so that is going to be 1 additional draw over this side too. You can, if you draw a Pokemon, you can still bench it. You just need to, just like before, you have to make sure that you have an active Pokemon before you start drawing cards for mulligans. So yeah, we do actually have one this time. This will be fine. So let's just get these cards drawn, get the game set up here. So we'll do that, set 6, and then we flip. We still flip for who goes first. You still don't get a choice. If you win the flip, you have to go first. So we'll say heads is top side, red side, blue side is tails. And whoever actually goes first does not get to draw a card at the start of their turn. Later on in this generation, they will also not be able to play supporter cards, but that is not a restriction for just now. So yeah, this would not be something that we could do at this point. So you don't get as many cards in your opening hand as you used to. So there is that. So for the next one, I'm just gonna, just for my reference later on, I'm just going to go ahead and do that so I can say, you know, I might play that game out. It's not the point. It's not for this video. Second thing here, we are in a state of confusion over here. The Sapphire has been rotated around because it is confused. This turn has concluded apart from the attack. Confusion doesn't require you to coin flip when you retreat anymore. If we wanted to retreat here, we would just pay the energy and switch out, and we could use Houndoom's ambush attack over here instead. However, if we do actually go for the attack, and of course I flip heads because I can never actually have a good example here, right? Uh, if we flip tails for this, we no longer take 20 damage, we put 3 damage counters on Sapphire. So in this case it would go up to 50 instead of the 20 that it was at before. In the previous Confusion rules it would take 20 damage and it would go up to 40 instead. But that damage was affected by weakness and resistance. Nowadays, you only put 3 damage counters on the Pokemon, so yes, it's 10 more damage on normal Pokemon, but say on a Psychic type that is weak to itself, it doesn't matter. You still take 30 instead of 40 damage. For, say, Aerodactyl that was resistant to itself, being a fighting type resistant to fighting, it used to take 0 damage from Confusion, because that 20 would get resisted. But now it takes 3 damage counters just like everybody else does. So there is that. Number 4, retreating is a once per turn act. I mentioned that we could retreat to the Houndoom and do the attack here, but we could not also then retreat the Houndoom to switch back. That is no longer a legal play compared to what we're used to. So this completely destroyed the Electro deck, as much as Dodrio rotating destroyed it as well. This completely stops the Electro deck from being like top tier, right? Because no longer can we just multi-retreat per turn. If we still had Double Gust, then you couldn't like retreat your 0 retreat active to your one guy that has a ton of retreat, and then Double Gust, you get brought in the guy with 1 retreat, and you can't retreat again in order to get to your big attacker. That is just not a thing anymore. The other 2 rules are not in these games here, but we have like a basic sort of setup for stuff here. Darkness and Metal Energy now actually have text on them that says they do not have any additional effects if the Pokemon is not of the correct type. So before, if we attached a Darkness Energy to something, you would always do 10 extra damage, but if you weren't a Dark Pokemon or had Dark in your name, you would then bleed 10 health every turn, right? In between turns you put a damage counter on the Pokemon. That doesn't happen anymore. You do not get a benefit other than having a Dark Energy attached. If we still had Clefairy, or if we want to use a setup Pokemon like, I don't know, Skitty or next round Dunsparce, or even the Rattata, right, that's got like Call for Family, we can attach a Darkness to it safely at this point. The same with Metal. Metal no longer reduces damage that you deal by, or like that you take by 10, unless you are a Metal Pokemon. So this would mean, again, you can't attach it to a setup Pokemon and have it take less damage than before. The last ruling is fairly straightforward. You can only play 1 Stadium card per turn. So before, we used to just be able to go, say, Apricorn Forest into the slot here, and then use it, and then replace it, and then use the new one, and then replace it with something else entirely. We can no longer do that. You can only play the 1 per turn, so if you play the Forest, use the Forest if the Forest has a coin toss on it, so if you flip tails, then you don't get to use it again. You have to wait until next turn. But in this current time frame, again, I think this changes at Hidden Legends, but in this current time frame, you are able to replace a stadium with one of the same name. That doesn't change until later on. It might even be Gen 4. DNA would be able to tell me on that one. I forget exactly when it changes. But yeah, there's only 1 stadium card to play per turn. So that makes it a bit less valuable to have like too many copies of ones that, you know, have trigger effects, right? This Apricorn Forest is really good, but it isn't something that you can use 4 times in a turn if you happen to draw 4 of them, right? So you have to be a little bit more careful about stuff like that. And that's it. There's a lot of implications for those, right? We mentioned the retreat thing before. Mulligans only being 1 card instead of 2. You don't want a mulligan, but if you are going to, it means your opponent doesn't start with like 6 to 8 cards more than you did. It's 3 or 4 at this point, which is significantly different. And the confusion thing is huge, because confusion used to be almost a death sentence, where if you didn't play a switching card immediately, you were completely screwed. Now, it's still a big annoyance, but it means that you don't actually have to instantly get your retreat out. You can potentially just manually retreat like you were going to anyway. So, there's counterplay to that, right? Also, it doesn't unfairly discriminate against psychic types, so that's fun. Yeah, so that's that. Hopefully this, I don't know how many of these are going to make a difference. Stadium cards currently aren't really seeing a lot of talk, so maybe that's not going to come up just now, but later on it probably will. Retreating is definitely going to be a huge thing. I abused a multi-retreat thing for ages. Remember the Hypno Haunter deck doesn't work if you don't have multi-retreats, so even without Dodrio, you can still do it, but not anymore. So that's a huge change. And the Mulligan thing is pretty big. Also, Darkness Metal being a lot more playable. This is pretty useful too, because there's some good Metal Pokemon especially to look at here. So yeah, lots of big changes coming up. So hope you found this interesting, and hopefully we can make something intriguing come out of these battles during the week, but oh boy, it's going to be tough. Alright, take care everyone.